Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, you're going to listen to me geek out about the Lancer Evo. This is going to be more of an informative content about each Evo, what models were offered, when and how many, and much more of the basic stuff. I'm not going to be talking about the problems or overall history. It's not going to be like a informative guide of what to buy and what to look for. Anyways, enjoy. Getting into the first Evo. That is the Evo 1. The first Evo was sold from 1992 to 1994, and only 5,000 units were made. Two models were offered, the RS and GSR. The GSR was the more sought after model because it had all the creature comforts, while the RS was a stripped down version. The Evo 1 was the only Evo that was sold with a viscous limited slip diff rear one. Moving on to the Evo 2. This Evo was sold from 1993 to 1995 and also sold 5,000 units. The overall improvements were handling, wheelbase changes, bodywork like having a larger spoiler, and better sway bars. Power was slightly increased over the first Evo and still offered the same RS and GSR models. Not too much was changed. In 1995, the Evo 3 came out. It was produced from 1995 to 1996. There were quite a few improvements over the past two generations. There were slight changes to the exterior, like new and more aggressive styling. The front bumper was made more aggressive to supply more airflow to the radiator, intercooler, and brakes. There were new side skirts, rear bumper moldings, and a larger spoiler was added to reduce the amount of lift. A newer and slightly bigger turbo compressor was upfitted with a reworked, higher compression ratio engine. Once again, it was sold as two trims, either the RS or GSR. In 1996, the Lancer Evo platform underwent a complete redesign, both mechanically and aesthetically. This redesign allowed for the engine and transaxle to be rotated 180 degrees to better balance the weight and minimize torque steer. It sold from 1996 to 1998. The trim levels were kept the same. It was sold in either RS and GSR models. Both trims also had the new twin-scroll turbocharger, which helped in response and increased power output. This was also the first generation that introduced Mitsubishi's new insane active yaw control for the first time. It would come from factory for only the GSR model. It would use the car's steering, throttle, input sensors, and G sensors to compute the correct amount of torque control to the rear wheels. This is also the first generation to feature the huge front fog lights, and the rear taillights were redesigned. The Evo 5 for the most part reused many parts from the Evo 4, though it did have many changes to make it stand out as its own. It would be introduced and sold from 1998 to 1999. The interior was upgraded in the GSR model with better Recaro seats. A new body kit was installed, like new flared arches in the front and rear, and a new aluminum spoiler. Wheels got larger to accommodate larger Brembo brakes. Both the engine and turbo were improved upon. Once again, not too much was changed from the Evo 5 to the Evo 6. It was sold from 1999 to 2001 and mainly focused on cooling and engine durability. Once again, the Evo 6 received minor new body work. The fog lights were made smaller and moved further away towards the corners to make airflow better, but the overall exterior and interior styling remained the same. It would be two new models added alongside the known ones. It would be now known as RS, RS2, which was an RS with some GSR items added to it, then the RS Sprint, which was tuned by Rally Art in the UK to be lighter and more powerful, and finally the GSR. Another very famous and sought after edition that was added to the Evo 6 was the Tommy Mäkinen edition, otherwise known as the TME or Evo 6.5, purely because it was such an insane car. It was also sold as either the RS or GSR model. The main one I'm going to be talking about is the TME GSR, which added a new aerodynamic front bumper, Recaro seats, special Enki wheels, Momo steering wheel, a shift knob, titanium turbine that spooled more quickly, front upper strut brace, lowered right height, and quicker ratio steering. Only 4,092 of these special cars were produced. The Evo 7 would be sold from 2001 to 2003 and would undergo a substantial change. It was using a slightly bigger and heavier chassis, but Mitsubishi made it up with the major chassis tweaks. The biggest change that happened in this generation was the addition of an active center differential and a much more effective limited slip diff, while also adding a helical limited slip diff to the front diff. This is also the first generation to introduce an automatic gearbox to the Evo nameplate, which was called the GTA, or the Grand Touring Automatic, which in my opinion was a bad decision. In 2003, the Evo 8 was released, but not only that, it was the first Evo that was introduced to America. It was sold from 2003 to 2005. There'd be lots of major changes to this generation of Evo. The brakes were changed up, they became beefier and just more gnarlier. Suspension geometry was becoming more advanced. Handling was also improved upon. In the new MR trim level that they added, an aluminum shift knob was given, revised front limited slip diff, handbrake that had carbon fiber handle, an aluminum roof which minimized the center of gravity, and an all brand new 6-speed manual transmission was added for the first time. The all-wheel drive had many improvements of its own, like having the new active center differential 5 and the new super all-wheel yaw control 6 be added, and a better sportier ABS. There were special models offered by Rallyart in the UK, which were called FQ, which also stood for fucking quick. The most powerful model was called the FQ400, which came with 405 horsepower. The Evo 8 also came with carbon fiber spoiler and a carbon fiber vortex generators. The USDM models weren't as lucky. Even though they got most of these features, they didn't get the new 6-speed until the MR model, which came towards the end of the Evo 8's lifetime, and none of the models came with the new super all-yaw control. In 2005, we saw the introduction of the Evo 9, which sold from 2005 to 2007. This was another model that was kept in the US. In the US, there were 4 models: the RS, SE, GSR, and MR. For the most part, the new Evo 9 MR kept the same features as the Evo 8 MR. In the non-US models, a new rear bumper with a diffuser was added. Once again, the USDM models didn't come with the active yaw control, but the active center differential was still there. It seems like the USDM models offered a bit more features compared to the JDM models, since it offered with an aluminum roof, hood, and front fenders, while the JDM didn't. If I'm wrong, please correct me. This was also the first time we saw the Evo wagon. It was also offered with an automatic transmission. It used the basic sedan body, but they just added a little bit of a metal thing on top and made it the Evo 9 wagon. The final generation of Evo was sold from 2007 to 2015. It was also the first Evo to use a new engine, the 4B11T, instead of the 4G63T, which was used in all previous models. This was also the Evo that was once again offered with a 5-speed manual instead of a 6-speed, or a dual clutch SST 6-speed. It was the first American Evo that had the super all-wheel control, which was an advanced version of the previous all-wheel control system, or the active yaw control. Throughout its lifetime, there wasn't a lot of changes. However, in the final year of production, Mitsubishi decided to do a final send-off and make a final edition model. It came in only in a 5-speed manual. It increased the power from 291 to 303 horsepower, featured a black roof, and final edition emblems near the transmission. Only 1,600 of these were produced in the US. The Lancer Evolution has had a pretty long yet short lifespan that consisted of 10 different generations in its 23 years of production, each improving upon each other, kind of the whole point of being called Lancer Evolution. Although Mitsubishi don't have any current plans for bringing back the Evo nameplate anytime soon, we can only hope that they start working on a real Evo 11 and not some big dumbass SUV using its name. I've made a video previously talking about what we could expect to see in the new Evo 11 if Mitsubishi were to start making it into production, but it's all a concept and being hopeful. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.